Hello everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Miro New Love here with your AEW Dynamite review for May 12th, 2021. Solid and fun episode of Dynamite last night. Um, was had a lot going on for it. We had 3 title matches. We had the IWGP United States Championship match between Jon Moxley and Yuji Nagata. We had the Young Bucks versus SCU for the tag team titles. We had, of course, the TNT Championship match as well between Miro and Darby Allin. So, fun episode Dynamite, also with some more news and matches made for Double or Nothing. So, a lot going into it, but thank you for joining me today. If you're new to the podcast, like and subscribe. Click on the bell for all your notifications as far as the channel is concerned. And with that, let's get into the review, shall we? So, excuse me. So, the show started off with Jon Moxley versus Yuji Nagata for the IWGP United States Championship. Solid way to start. Uh, the guy came out with his trainer. Um, so nice touch. I didn't really know much about Nagata. I tried to do some research about him. Um, yeah, but they also said that he's a trainer in New Japan Pro Wrestling, that he's 53 years old, and he wants to wrestle until he's 70. That's a big mark, but he looked good for what it was worth in this match against Moxley. Jon Moxley came out with Eddie Kingston, came out with some new theme music. Uh, Wild Thing by Progo, I believe that's what's the name of the band. Forgive me if I misspell it, but was a cool touch and it fits him. Um, Not sure if it was just one night or if they'll keep it forward, but either way, it was good touch to the match. Um, so the match, as you expect, was. Ooh, I clicked on the mouse for a sec, my bad. But the match was, as you expect, it was a fight. It was physical. It was hard hitting, as you expect. You know, they landed some or traded some stiff shots early. Uh, at the end, back and forth. Nagata landed hit or had a cross arm breaker on Moxley, but Moxley got to ropes, and then at the end, Moxley hit a paradigm shift on Nagata for the win. Afterwards, a show of respect between Moxley and Nagata. The bow and the bulldog head to head, and they raise both arms, and good show of respect between Nagata and Moxley, and a heck of a way to good way to start Dynamite. So next on the show was Cody Rhodes and his announcement for Double or Nothing. So Cody Rhodes came out and talked about his roots. talked about his upbringing, and he ran down Anthony Ogogo. Talked about how he gets the same opportunities that he would in England, but he gets the same opportunities as everyone does here in America. And there was some other stuff, and he talked about his parents, and he said for one night that at Double or Nothing, it'll be, instead of the American Nightmare, it'll be Anthony Ogogo versus the American Dream, Cody Rhodes. This is a good promo. I mean, could barely listen to it because my printer was going off, but nonetheless, solid promo by Cody. I mean, I think it's kind of a letdown. Cody first a go-go, simply because of what we've seen out of a go-go the last month and so. All he's done is throw punches. That's all. And I mean, look, next week it's gonna be Anthony Ogogo versus Austin Gunn, and assuming that, well, hopefully we see more of Ogogo, but if this is not a good match between Ogogo and Cody Rhodes, this will be just a letdown because Cody Rhodes is as good a storyteller as there is in the business today. And if Ogogo isn't ready to go, then this will be just a flat disappointment for Double or Nothing. Because right now, when you're looking at the lineup for Double or Nothing, this feels like the most unintriguing match of the card. But, we'll see. We still got 3 or so weeks to go. So then our second of 3 title matches for the night. SCU versus Young Bucks. This was fun. SCU, we know they laid out that ultimatum how last December, if they did not become the tag team champions and they lost another match, that they would be done as tag team. And the Young Bucks, they've done well, but we pretty much knew because of the placement of the match how it was going to fare. So it was a fun match and a good storytelling match. So first of all, for the Young Bucks, they just look more heelish and heelish week by week, which is just a good assessment and it's more fitting for them. The only thing I would change about them is their theme music, but other than that, it's really good for the Young Bucks. So obviously, it was a fast start by SCU. Then Kazarian or the Young Bucks took the advantage, or even the odds. And then later in the match, we had a slingshot cutter by Kazarian for a near fall. There were moments, and they had you rolling in this match. SCU might get it done. And then a beautiful, because, well, cause Daniels got a super kick sandwich. Well, his head was sandwiched in between the post and Nick Jackson's foot. It was a super kick to the ring post that busted open really profusely Christopher Daniels, and it was a ugly sight and really added to the storytelling of this match. So then it was basically a handicap match for most of the rest of the match. Kazarian landed a Northern Lights because he rolled up Matt Jackson, and then Nick Jackson came off the top rope, and Kazarian landed a Northern Lights suplex while rolling up Matt Jackson, both for their fall and good spot. And the Good Brothers were ringside. And so Kazarian, he looked at the Good Brothers and delivered a Styles Clash in reference to the original Bullet Club. Good spot. And of course, SCU's history with AJ Styles and TNA. So that was a nice spot for their fall. Then Daniels hit an Angel's Wings and went for BME. Because he was bleeding, he missed. He slipped the first attempt, but then connected with the second attempt for near fall. Then Matt Jackson, a little odd to. Well, I mean, there's been a bunch of A&E documentaries coming out. It's like one came out of the Macho Man Randy Savage, another is coming out for Shawn Michaels. So we saw kind of a tour. We saw Matt Jackson do a Macho Man twirl, finger twirl. And then here we saw him do, because for those who saw the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair retirement match at WrestleMania 24, we know how that ended with Shawn Michaels saying to Ric Flair before he landed the last shot, "Sweet chin music." He said, "I'm sorry, I love you." And then Matt Jackson here was getting emotional, quote unquote, and then landing a super kick on Daniels after saying the same words, "I'm sorry, I love you," for a near fall. And then Daniels got the cold spray in his face, the ball off his head for a near fall. And then Kazarian was on the outside of the ring. It was basically 2-on-1. Then they hit a BT trigger on Daniels. Kazarian jumped into the ring, tried to stop it one last time, but could not. 1, 2, 3. The Young Bucks win. SCU is done as a tag team. I mean, so it's interesting because, well, I mean, SCU. Here's what I'll say is that I saw the rise of SCU in TNA before they were SCU. It was just Daniels and Kazarian. And then they were cut by TNA. They went to Ring of Honor. They did well there. Daniels obviously became the world champion there. And then they come to AEW. They become the first tag team champions. Of course, that was Scorpio Sky and Kazarian. But when Daniels was taken out for the tournament, but nonetheless, SCU been a hell of a tag team, been a hell of a season tag team, but obviously they've gotten older, and Daniels, he's in his 40s. I'm curious if this is the end for him. I was kind of curious also if Scorpio Sky came out and did something screwy with the finish, but that was not the case. Daniels had a hell of a career in TNA and did well in Ring of Honor, and obviously was one of the building parts of AEW is SCU. And if this is the end of Daniels, and congrats on a heck of a career. But we'll see where things go. I mean, I think Kazarian has still a bunch left in the tank, but I'm curious where he goes because as a singles competitor and plus Scarlet Sky is with Ethan Page, and that duo has sucked. But I mean, we'll see. Overall, it was a good match. So then we had, or actually after we had or actually I'll get it later. No, I might as well just say it now, but so Moxley and Kingston trashed the Elite's locker room right after. So then we saw that the Elite minus Kenny Omega and Don Callis were in their locker room, and the Young Bucks invited Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston for Double or Nothing, and it looks to be official. We're going to get the Young Bucks for Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Should be a heck of a match for the Tag Team Championships. Also, next week, we got the Young Bucks versus the Varsity Blondes, which should be a good match as well. We know the Varsity Blondes are young and they're on the rise, but two solid matches made for the coming weeks. So, good. So then next we go to Christian Cage. Christian Cage, he talked about Taz critiquing his offense. He said something funny about Taz, poking out Taz's way. And so, anyway, Christian talked about the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing. And he talked about his entry into Double or Nothing. And so, or this Casino Battle Royal. So he said that he was going to go to the ring and he has an open contract for next week. And he said to Taz, put out any member of Team Taz to him and he'll accept. So then Matt Seidel came in and Seidel talked about how he looks for redemption after last year's embarrassing moment at Double or Nothing, the Casino Battle Royal. And then Christian Cage said, well, I guess you hope that everything falls into place. So that was kind of funny because of the big epic botch. That was unfortunate for Seidel, but it was hilarious. So Seidel said that he was going to be also in the Battle Royal. And then next week, it'll be him versus Christian Cage. So another solid match for next week. I'm up for it. Casino Battle Royal, I mean, don't need to have everyone on the show. I mean, I'm assuming because I don't know who else big is going to be in this. So, from based on what I heard, Christian Cage is probably the favorite to win, I would say. Next, we had PAC vs Orange Cassidy, number one contenders match for the AEW World Championship. So, start off the bat. So, Cassidy took out his glasses, or his shades, and he put them on PAC. Not bad. Anyway, so PAC took them off, broke them. There was a beach break off the bat for a 2 count. PAC was going to get taken to by Orange Cassidy to start off, and then getting later into the match. It was a roll up by Orange for a 2 count. Then PAC fired back with a super kick and a powerbomb for a near fall. Then all of a sudden, Kenny Omega came out and interfered beyond the referee's back. Then ultimately, it was a double countout. The first time we saw a double countout in AEW. So, after Tony Schiavone announced that he was told by Tony Khan that at Double or Nothing, it will be a triple threat. It will be PAC versus Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW World Championship. Should be a great match. It was although it was kind of silly, kind of getting to it, but I think for those people that were probably going to complain that was going to be Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy, now PAC is added to the mix, so should be a better match, I would say. So then after we had Hangman, he was with the Dark Order backstage. Alex Marvez asked about Hangman, and Hangman basically said that, Brian Cage had beat him. Taz basically beat him. So instead, he called out Brian Cage to a rematch at Double or Nothing. So that was made official later in the show. So solid rematch and solid lineup for Double or Nothing. We got now Brian Cage and Hangman. So good job. Good job. And I'll be back 1 sec. Sorry. Alright, sorry for that. I had to step off for a sec. Now getting to the next part of the show review. So next we had the Pinnacle come out, and it was funny. So MJF came out with a crown. He had two ladies at his side and are accompanying him, along with the rest of the Pinnacle. There was balloons and stuff in the ring, the coordination of the Pinnacle. So, saying that so MJF said that he's now the GOAT of AEW, and now he's taking the spot of Chris Jericho. And he credits how they were big in Canada ratings. So he credits Sean Spears for that. And Sammy Guevara, who was in a segment with Jake Hager and Ortiz, talked about how they want a rematch and said they would make it the funeral of the Pinnacle tonight. So he answered Sammy Guevara's challenge, and he said no to that challenge. And then Tully Blanchard took the microphone, talked about how if you quit, you quit, and that's what they did last week. So then all of a sudden we heard a horn honking, and we see Ortiz, Jake Hager, and Sammy Guevara riding this strange truck within the back, which, if you're thinking about it, when you put the pieces together, you can kind of sense where this is going. And then Jericho is in the back. He's trying to hunch up, trying to hide. So all of a sudden we heard Jericho, and he was asking for MJF's answer. And he, just to clarify, asked MJF, "What is your answer?" And MJF was like, "N-O, no." So then he was like, "Get him, Sammy." So the next thing you know, Sammy's guiding this hose that's spraying a little bit of the bubble, or a lot of bit of the bubbly, uh, spraying down the pinnacle, and a bubbly bath or a champagne bath for the pinnacle in the ring, and they were struggling as you expect. They were slipping all around the ring. Then, after the theatrics, finally MJF took the microphone and they said, "Okay, you got your rematch that will take you on the match you lost last year at Double or Nothing. Stadium Stampede, by condition. If the Inner Circle loses, they have to break up forever." So, interesting stipulation. So, Stadium Stampede, but if the Inner Circle loses, they break up forever. Now, first of all, Stadium Stampede. Now, last year it was fun with all the theatrics, with all the fun and everything that was involved with the Elite and the Inner Circle. It was a fun match. This year, now the reason why we got Stampede last year is because Blood Guts did not happen. This year, now, just last week, removed from Blood Guts. And we're going to get Stadium Stampede at Double or Nothing. I mean, with all the, you know what I mean, with Hangman and Matt Hardy and the theatrics, it was fun. But with the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle, I'm curious to see how it would work, because you got more of a bloodthirsty rivalry. And I mean, we'll see how it goes, but I don't know, we'll see. But with the Inner Circle stipulation of, if they lose, they disband forever. I mean, I'm just curious, where would all the members go? Because that's because Santana Ortiz will still fare well in the tag team division. Sammy Guevara, I think, is ready to take that next step as a babyface. So Hager can still be the heavy of Jericho, so I guess could work out, but we'll see. We'll see. So then we had Thunder Rosa return. She faced Jasmine Allure. This fine for what it was. Thunder Rosa, she was going to win. When the Thunder Driver, or with the Thunder Driver for the win. Thunder Rosa, she's on her quest to get back the NWA Women's Championship and then the AEW Women's Championship. I looked on NWA Power, and apparently Suri Deeb is going to face someone else. I forgot who, but there's that. And she and Thunder Rosa had a little interaction on NWA. So that's interesting, but I think Thunder Rosa wins the NWA Women's Championship first. Britt Baker, she wins the AEW Women's Championship, obviously at Double or Nothing. And perhaps Thunder Rosa takes the title, gets her real revenge because the match was unsanctioned, gets her real revenge, and wins the AEW Women's Championship. Sounds like a good plan for Thunder Rosa. So then we had the main event, Miro vs Darby Allin, TNT Championship. Darby, there was a little vignette beforehand of his black and white. He talked about going back to his roots after he took that spill last week at the hands of Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. He went back to Seattle and talked about Miro being a generic piece of shit. So there was that. Then we get into the match. I was curious when I was looking at the time and considering Darby's fall he took last week, but this was as good as you could have booked this match. So Miro, he was throwing around Darby to start. The match didn't really start. He was speaking on Darby. They were fighting on the outside. Darby tried to get the one thing I was critiqued, however, is Sting was at ringside for Darby. The match didn't even start. And Sting is just there saying Darby get mauled by Miro. But, I guess he's selling his injury from the heel hook by Scorpio Sky. Still, that was one little nitpick. However, Darby fired back with some offense once the match officially started. So, Miro landed the Machka kick for a 2. Darby fired back with stunner. The code red for 2 was a recover drop, but was caught. And a nice little moment when Darby Allin was beaten down up against the ropes. He looked in the eyes of Sting, and they gave a little fist bump. Emotional moments. So Darby, he had Miro and a Fujiwara armbar, but Miro countered and then locked in the game over. Now, I was worried because looking at the placement of Miro, his shoulders were on the mat. So I was worried that the referee was going to count Miro's shoulders for a sneaky pin, but that was not the case. Darby gave up, and or I think he might have passed out. Nonetheless, the ref called for the bell, and Miro is the new TNT Champion. Now, the afterward part was kind of iffy because Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page attacked Sting, but right after that, they came back to the middle of the ring to show Miro and Darby. Then afterwards, to end the show, we had Lance Archer's music hit, and he was on the stage, and he had some words to say to Miro. Miro held up the TNT Championship, and that was kind of how the show went off the air. So, interesting. So, again, a fun episode of Dynamite. 3 title matches. We got more matches loaded for Double or Nothing. Hangman versus Brian Cage. We have the triple threat for the World Heavyweight Championship. We have the tag team title match. So, some solid matches leading for Double or Nothing. Next week, we got Chris Gage for Matt Sydal. We got Anthony Ogogo for Austin Gunn. Hopefully, Ogogo will show more than one punch. See about that, but AEW Dynamite had a good showing, a fun show. But nonetheless, that's the podcast today for you guys. So thank you again for joining me. I am Joe2 in Love. Like and subscribe. Thank you all. Peace and be safe all.